Microphone check 212. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bobby. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're now in the 20s of the podcast. If you couldn't tell when you clicked in to episode 21 today, we have made it to 20 plus episodes of the podcast. Feeling some good strides right now. We're pumping out some content July and August, and we're going to keep this party rocking and rolling strong. At the recording of this podcast, it is currently Monday, August 24th at approximately 6:23 p.m. What a day. What a time to be alive, as my man Drake in Future once said. Today we dropped episode 20 of the podcast with my man Zach Kravitz, incredible filmmaker, entrepreneur, creative coach, podcaster, host of Ramblin' Radio. Was very excited to get him on the podcast and get some more momentum with guests coming on the show. I went to his brand new apartment in Culver City on Saturday, and we had ourselves a nice little afternoon. We did a little bit of podcast cooking up, got some dinner, chilled, caught up with the homie, and ultimately it was an incredible podcast. So I hope you guys and gals are enjoying the guest podcast as much as the solo pods, trying to find the balance, trying to just keep pumping along, and I think it's important to break it up. And so we're doing the guests, we're doing the solos, but it feels good. It feels really good. Also today, we pumped out newsletter number 5 of Bearded Wisdom. This one was It's More Than a Cup of Coffee, which I actually talked about with Zach on the podcast. He walked right into it, and what we talked about was how essentially offering to buy a cup of coffee is not necessarily the greatest networking tool, and I dove into that on this week's newsletter. So if you are not subscribed and you want to be subscribed to some bearded wisdom right to your inbox every Monday morning, go to www.itsthebeardedman.com, scroll down, sign up, and I'll be dropping some wisdom directly to your inbox every Monday morning. And if you're not signed up, you don't get the wisdom. So you got to give, and you have to give, I got to give, and we all give. You know what I'm saying? So sign up. It's thebeardedman.com. As of right now, we are 36 days of no booze. Let's take a moment to appreciate that for the Bearded Man. No booze, still going strong. Originally was going to at least August 31st. I was challenged by my man Ryan Pod, or as the podcast world knows him as, the RPD show host. And now that's getting extended. Someone that I work with at Liquid IV hit me up about wanting to do the challenge until September, and he was hesitant about taking on the challenge. And he said, I've been thinking about it. And I said, no, you haven't been thinking about it. You're doing it, brother. You're going to the end of September, which is what he wanted to do. And I said, I'm going to do it with you. So as of now, we're pushing to the end of September of no booze. I think I can do it. Actually, I know I can do it because I'm going to do it. And I'm seeing so much more productivity and energy in my life that I just got to keep cruising. So really, really excited about no booze because I feel great. And I got more money in my pocket, baby. Let's go. I want to give a quick shout out to my man, Nathan1N0, who left a pretty awesome podcast review on the iTunes podcast app. And it got me fired up because this man was a listener of Purpose in the Youth. The subject of the actual the review was Bobby! Exclamation, 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 exclamation. And he gave me 5 stars. And he said, the Bearded Man is freaking legit. I've been keeping up with him since early Purpose in the Youth days. And I can clearly say there is no one else in the podcast game that is a perfect blend of authentic hustle and energy. I'm constantly inspired by not only his guests, but by the man himself. 100 emoji. Okay, my man put in the 100 emoji. How official is that? He also goes on to say, since he started his own podcast, it's been crazy to see his growth, and I can't wait to see what's next. There's so many gems throughout each episode, and it's must-listen podcasting for sure. Shout out to my man Nathan for taking the time to listen and give me that review. Really awesome to see you coming from Purpose in the Youth days as well. So that fires me up. If you want to be the review of the week next week, go leave a review on the iTunes podcast app real quick. Takes you not too long. But I greatly appreciate people like Nathan and anyone else that has taken the time to leave a review. Cool. Housekeeping. Get it out of the way. What was that noise? I don't know. Today's topic. So let me preface this by saying the whole goal of these solo pods are to, give me a platform to keep speaking whatever I want to talk about. But also it's forcing me to get uncomfortable and talk about things that I don't just openly talk about. Hence, like the last couple episodes, there was a little bit incorporating of dating or anything else that's happening personally in my life. I want to force myself to talk about the things that other people are afraid to talk about, or that we wish somebody would talk about and we don't have the platform to listen to. That's the whole goal of these solo pods. It's not for me to just ramble and think I'm some hot shit. It is truly for me to use this as like a therapy session, to be completely honest with you, because I love just talking. My roommate Dylan, who's behind me about 8 feet, but with the door closed, he gets annoyed of me talking. And so the best way for him to get me to shut up is by me doing these podcasts. So it's a win-win-win. And you guys get to listen. Incredible. So today, I don't think I've ever talked about it just on a podcast, or I've definitely brought it up in podcasts before, but I wanted to just dive into meditation. And I wanted to, first off, by saying this: I am nowhere near an expert. I've been practicing meditation for about the last 4 years, and I've seen so much tremendous upside in it. But let me just say this before we get into today's podcast. Whatever I say, you can fact check me, and I could be wrong. Things that I might say might not be totally accurate. I'm completely speaking from my perspective. I am not an expert. I'm here to just share on how valuable meditation has been in my life, and I think it's just something that needs to be talked about. Because I remember when I was getting into it back in 2016, I was so skeptical about doing it, because I was like, I'm not a fucking hippie. I'm not a Mr. Guru. I'm not like I'm not Zen. I thought it was just so, and when I say that, I'm not trying to sound like a dick. I just thought it was just something that just wasn't for me. And then I think what really sparked my interest was 2016 summer. I really started to dive into successful people's stories. That's how I started getting into storytelling and want to start my own podcast for Purpose in the Youth. But one commonality I was seeing in a lot of successful people, not every single one, but a lot of them in interviews that I would talk about, somehow, some way they would bring up meditation and how it's helped them. There's always somebody that brought it up, and I was like, wait a second, why is everyone meditating? I didn't really even know what meditation was prior, I feel like, to 2015, 2016. I think I'd heard of it growing up, but I didn't really know of it. And so I got super curious about it. And then I think because I was listening to podcasts, Headspace was going heavy on podcast ad reads, or maybe they were just geo-targeting me with social stuff because they knew who I was consuming the content. And so one day I just gave in. I tried Headspace, and it completely changed my life. And it wasn't instantly, but it grew on me. And so I started using this app, this daily app, and with time, it completely has changed me. And it's, mind you, this is 4 years into the practice of learning meditation and seeing the benefits of it. But it's something that I utilize every day, and I sometimes forget, that's part of your daily routine. You should maybe talk about it at some point. So I didn't have a subject I want to talk about today, and waking up and feeling inspired, and I thought, you know what, why not talk about meditation? Let's kick it off on the right foot. But like I said, the thing that really interested me in getting into it was but I was listening to so many podcasts of successful people, and I was like, why is it that all of them meditate? And so there was one way to find out, and I dove into it. Let's break down what is meditation. Okay, this is not my definition. This is what I got from Google. So props to Google for this, because I didn't even know how to really define it. Google says meditation is a practice where an individual uses a technique such as mindfulness or focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm, stable state. That's what meditation is. Underneath that, you have the mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Once again, didn't know how to define it. Googled it. Mindfulness. It's a quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. To me, at its core, what meditation is, it is our ability to slow down, to clear the mind, and to train it to focus on the present moment, which most people know as focusing in on your breath. This, for somebody like myself, has been extremely, extremely helpful in moments where my blood pressure shoots up because I'm angry, in moments that I'm anxious because I'm going in for a podcast interview, in moments that I'm sad. Meditation has been like the tool that has completely just redefined me. When I was driving Uber and sitting in the bumper-to-bumper LA traffic, which is all the time, low-key on top of, I'd have conversations with the riders. Sometimes I'd listen to podcasts. Sometimes I just have the music going, and I would not completely meditate because I had to drive the damn car, but I found myself meditating and just focusing on the breath and being calm in these hectic driving environments of LA. And it was extremely helpful. But throughout that breathing technique, you learn to control your thoughts, you learn to control your moods and your overall energy. The power of the breath is so, so, so incredibly strong. And I think meditation and breath work might go hand in hand. Once again, don't know, not an expert. But I had taken one breathwork workshop last October at this event held by Yes Theory in downtown LA. It was the first breathwork class I'd ever taken. It was an hour long. I was very open-minded going into it because I had practiced meditation. But at the end of this hour, I realized like there is so much more to the power of the breath. Through a guided instructor for this 1 hour, I kid you not, you end up feeling like you're on some crazy drug and it's solely just your breath and focusing in on the breath. And I can't get into really, it's hard for me to actually describe what that feeling was like. And I think it's something that people have, if you're interested, you have to go out and try it. And I push people to go try it because I think, the reason why I'm talking about it on this podcast today is because I'm sure there's people out here that might, out there, the world, right? I'm cooked. There's people out there that have interest in meditation or breathwork classes and might not do it because they don't have friends that are doing it, or people think it's weird, or whatever the excuse is. I'm telling you right now, if it's something of interest, you got to try it because it's going to change the way you think and see and feel. Ultimately, it's been incredible. And so that breathwork class really opened my mind because the meditation had been helping me for 3+ years. Take one breathwork class, and I was like, well, there's so much more layers to the breath and the power of it. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to tap back into it, and that's actually something now that I'm thinking about it, I want to look into trying to do more, or at least take a class on, given with everything COVID related, it's not very helpful time. Very, very powerful stuff. So, like I said, meditation has changed my life forever. As of today, right now, I do 10 minutes a day. And I started off with a Headspace app, which I think most people know of. I now switched over to an app called Waking Up with Sam Harris. And I do it every single morning, right around 8 a.m. after I work out and shower, before I eat breakfast and before I get the day started. It's like a great moment to shift gears. It helps me set intention for the day, especially after working out in the morning when my blood pressure's up and I'm doing workouts in our kitchen, or I'm out going for a run. Blood pressure's not blood pressure, but the blood's flowing. And so this 10 minutes gives me a moment to like refocus and reshift gears to like, all right, time to work. It's time to get into that work mode. And some days I even most days I just do the 10-minute meditation in the morning and that's it. But a day like today, and sometimes I squeeze it in during my lunch, and it's surprisingly a game changer. I don't even know how to really describe it other than it feels like a shot of espresso, and almost like I hit the refresh button for my mind. So you can go head down for a couple hours, 3-4 hours, and get a lot of work done. You go eat, maybe it freshens you up, or you have a cup of coffee, or you do something to take your mind away from the work. But even a 5-minute meditation has completely just like resharpened my mind. And it's, once again, this is so hard for me to talk about because it's one of those things that if you've never experienced it, I don't know how else to describe it. because it's just that beneficial. And there have been times in the past where I have not done this for 4 years straight. There have definitely been some times when I kind of just gave up on it for months at a time. There were times that I tried just to do meditation. Excuse me. I thought I was pro. I was like, yeah, I don't need these apps. I don't need to pay for this. And I thought, oh, okay, I don't need it. So I would try to meditate with, music or calming noises that you can find on Spotify or something. And I wasn't held accountable as much as I would with these apps. And that's how I got back into it. At a very high level, benefits I found from practicing meditation is, number one, just my mind is calmer. I'm ultimately so much more calmer in my mind. I feel like I'm more present in my day-to-day tasks because the idea of like stopping before I get my day started and focusing on my breath and clearing out all the thoughts of yesterday and things that might be bothering me, whether it's personal, business, whatever it could be, stopping for a moment and just clearing it all out through the meditation has been really incredible, that it actually helps me stay focused through the day. There's a lot of times when you're working on something and you're still thinking about the next thing you need to do or something that's happening later that night. This has helped me bring it all back into what am I working on in this present moment, or what am I doing in this present moment. So instead of getting worried up about what's coming in a few hours, I just focus on the task at hand, which is extremely beneficial because it helps you stay more productive, the work is better, and you're more efficient. So something that normally could take me an hour could probably take me 30 minutes, 45 minutes if I'm really, really focused in on it. So anytime I find myself thinking about a million different things, this has been a practice that has allowed me to slow it down, to clear the chatter in my mind, which is a whole nother topic of a conversation. When you think about chatter, I'm not saying you're some psychopath and you're crazy because you hear voices in your head, but there's this subconscious talk that we have sometimes in our mind, whether we realize it or not, and that can just drive you crazy because you're thinking about all these things of what I got to do next, and then I have to go here, I got to do this, I have to call this person. Slow it down, calm down, everything's gonna be good. But the meditation has taught me how to bring it back. Really, too, when I say my mind is much calmer. I had somehow thought of this. I don't know where I pulled this out of when I was doing another podcast a couple months ago, but I really think of podcasting as like podcasting. Jeez, come on, Bob. Meditation, excuse me. Meditation has taught me how to cruise at 30,000 feet. And when I say that, I'm talking about flying an airplane, right? When you're up 30,000 feet, that's usually the cruising altitude for a plane. Now, like anything in life, there's going to be some turbulence here and there throughout the day, but the plane always stays leveled at 30,000 feet. Prior to me getting into meditation, I definitely felt more like a roller coaster where days could go up and down. I could be extremely happy, and then a couple things could happen within a 2 to 3 hour span, and it could completely derail my emotions, or what, it could change the direction of, like, I woke up feeling like $1 million, now I feel like shit, or I woke up feeling like $1 million, now I feel like shit. You know what I'm saying? Like there's times when I feel like the emotions can go rapid change quickly, and they still happen from time to time, but I think the meditation has allowed me to stay at that constant 30,000 feet at all times, where there's these big boosts of adrenaline because something great is happening in my life, and then I'm able to calm myself down. Like if I just got done recording a dope-ass podcast with somebody, I'm fired up. I'm like, yo, I can't wait to post this. Like, I'm stoked about this podcast. But then I slow it down, and I'm like, okay, cool. That happened. Like, let's keep going. We got other things we got to work on. Or maybe there's like something that brings me down, whether it's a negative comment on social media or whatever it might be. I can bring myself back up because I recognize, okay, what's happened. Still got a whole day ahead of me. Still have a whole afternoon ahead of me. Got to bring myself back up, get back to the 30,000 feet. So I think meditation, ultimately, yes, it's made my mind calmer, but it's allowed me to travel at 30,000 feet a lot more. The big thing, meditation, is instead of resisting what's happening in my life, I just react. Okay? So when things aren't going the way I plan them to be, I'm not resisting and trying to force it to become something it's not supposed to be. I'm reacting to the situation in real time. I don't stress the uncontrollables. The uncontrollables are the things in life that I have no control over. If I can't control the outcome, or I am putting my best foot forward and I'm putting everything on the line that I can, and I still don't get the results I'm looking for, as much as I may hate that the results didn't go the way I wanted them to go, I'm accepting it because I can only control so much. I can only control how much I show up, what I do behind the scenes to make things happen. If my podcasts don't get 10,000 plays, I'm not mad at that, because when I upload these podcasts, for instance, I feel great because I put my best foot forward. I do my best to get the word out about the podcast. I try not to overdo it overkill, and I can sleep good at night knowing, you know what? I did my best. Whether it gets 10 plays, 100 plays, 1,000 plays, 10,000 plays, it doesn't matter because I still showed up and I did the work and I followed through with what I wanted to create. So I don't resist what's happening in the world. I react to it. Things happen, right? Excuse me. Things happen. I assess the situation and I make changes. Great example is what I talked about on this recent podcast with Zach. When we were talking about COVID. I feel very fortunate then that when the lockdown happened in LA in early March, very quickly I went from a state of, holy shit, like, I can't go to the gym anymore. I can't go outside. I can't go hang out with friends. Very quickly I shifted gears to, okay, this is the situation I'm in. How do I adjust? Can't go to the gym, gonna do some home workouts. Can't go outside, but they say you're allowed to go outside to work out. Great, I'm gonna start running. Started finding ways to just change up my process and my flow, but I wasn't gonna just resist. I wasn't gonna let the world stop me from doing the things I wanted to do within reason. I was reacting. I was making changes based on what was happening. So ultimately, I just don't allow myself, most times, quote unquote, to get worked up or worried about things that are out of my control. This past weekend, nobody wanted to hit the beach with me. Some people might get flared up. I said, bet. I'm still going to the beach. No big deal. I might take a Hail Mary toss into a DM, see a girl that's beautiful and that I'm attracted to, see some similarities. She doesn't respond. All cool. Keep it moving. Can't do anything about it. We react. We don't resist to what is happening in the world. I don't know if the DM one really works, but it's worth a shot. And ultimately, overall, as you can probably tell from this podcast, just my overall perspective of life has just completely shifted because of it. Much more gratitude in my life because I think I'm so much more present and I'm so much more able to be aware of what's happening in the environment that I'm in. I think I have a lot more appreciation for the life that I live. I think I'm able to focus a lot better, like I was saying. I'm able to really get narrowed and focus in on things that are on my to-do list. I'm much more easygoing. If things aren't going the way, I'm sure we can all think of a time in our life where we knew a big weekend was coming up and we had everything planned by the book. And if one thing doesn't go according to plan, the whole weekend's ruined. Because we had set our expectations so high. It was supposed to be this incredible weekend. All these things are supposed to happen, and it doesn't. We set the bar too high that it's literally 99% chance not going to go that good because there's just no way for everything to line up that perfectly. I'm like a sailboat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just out at sea. I got my little thing up, sail, and I'm just going where the wind takes me, and I'm just flowing, and I'm enjoying it. I'm just easy going. Yes, I put effort and time into certain areas of my life, and you're supposed to do that, but at some point you have to just go with the flow. And that has completely changed my perspective. And then lastly, I just don't stress the things that I used to get worked up on. Yes, I might acknowledge and be a little angry or not happy with how things played out, but it doesn't bother me like it used to. I just keep it moving. I just keep it going, baby, because that's all we can do. If you're somebody who likes to read books, there's one book I would really, really, really suggest reading, and it's called The Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer. say that one more time. The Surrenderer Experiment by Michael A. Singer. I would put this as a top 5 book that I've ever read. I honestly might put it as top 3. Incredible book. If you're somebody that likes reading, I really, really suggest reading this book. It changed my life, truthfully, just with the way I saw my own life. Now, this book is based on Michael's life, and it's a true story, and he's somebody that has built a $1 billion medical practice management company. And what was so incredible about the book is it's not just about his business growing in his life. It's not a businessy book, but it's more so about he surrendered to life, and he still was able to live an incredible life and have an successful career. And he talks about a lot of the humps and the roadblocks that he occurred along the way. But anytime that happened, he just surrendered to it. Once again, there were certain things happening in his life, the uncontrollables, that he couldn't control. And so he just went with it. And sometimes it didn't work out the way he wanted it to, and sometimes it did. But no matter which way it went, he just surrendered and went with the flow of life. And a lot of that stems to him diving into meditation and getting into the practice really, really early on, and it carried him through his entire life. But it was an incredible story that really opened my mind to the practice and how it had shifted his mindset. So not only was this something he was practicing during the day, or the 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day that he did, or I'm pretty sure he did some like real long ones, like days at a time. But he took the lessons and the skills of being still and just going with the flow, and he incorporated it into his life. And that's why it's called the Surrender Experiment, because he learned to just surrender to life and do his best and show up and work hard and be a loving person and put effort into the world. I'm not saying don't put effort into the world, but he learned there's only so much that he can control, and the rest he surrendered to. And an incredible book. So I'd say if you're looking for a book, The Surrender Experiment is something really, really incredible. So here's a big question. There might be some of you that are listening and questioning, do you need to do meditation to be successful and happy? Right? There's got to be somebody that listens to this podcast, I'm guessing, that is questioning, like, should I be doing this? Should I not be? First off, I don't think anybody needs to do meditation to be happy or successful whatsoever. I think this is like anything in this world. It's worth trying and seeing if you see value in it. Not everybody loves to go for a run. Not everybody loves to go surfing. Not everybody loves to go mountain bike riding. Not everybody loves to jump out of planes. Everybody's a little bit different. I would say give it a try. For instance, I know Gary Vee, my guy, does not meditate and probably will never meditate. At least, that's what he's preaching for the last couple of years. But I think it's worth testing and seeing if it actually benefits you. And as a reminder, this is something that takes time. It's not going to just like you do meditation 1, 2, 3 times and you go, it doesn't really benefit me. You're going to have to want to put some time and effort into it and really like stay consistent for, I'd say, at least 30 to 60 days. So just see a little bit of progress. Mind you, I've been doing this for 4 years and I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface for what this practice can teach you. And, I need to, if there was an 8th day of the week, I probably would put it towards reading and diving into more of meditation and trying to understand it, along with a couple other areas of life and world that I'd be interested in learning more about, real estate or space. This is one area that I would, if I had an 8th day of the week, I would put more time and energy into this because I'm extremely intrigued from the benefits I've had with, only putting in 10 minutes a day of effort for, on and off for the last 4 years. But at the end of the day, I think we all could use a little bit more calmness in our minds. It's very easy to get worked up. We're connected to our phones. We have big goals. And so to calm your mind down, meditation has been the greatest thing that I've came across. If you're thinking about trying it, you could try the Waking Up app with Sam Harris, which is the one I use. He does a 28-day free trial. If you can, what I love most about his app, which I didn't know until recently, if you are somebody that cannot afford it and truthfully can't afford it, if you email their support, they will give you a 1-year free trial And if it's still after that 1 year you cannot afford it, they will continue to give it to you for free within reason. So I think that's an incredible offer to people out there. You can also try the Headspace app, which I think a lot of people know. And you can also try Calm, which I think most people are really familiar with now because they teed up with Mr. LeBron James. So that's a pretty awesome. And if you don't want to spend money and you just want to try it, you can go on YouTube, and there is plenty of guided meditations for people to try out. All I'm going to say, if you do end up trying it, stay consistent. The results won't come right away. But from my personal opinion and my personal experience, meditation has been an absolute game changer in my life. And I'm extremely thankful for the practice. And I'm extremely thankful for how it's shifted my mind and how it brings a perspective change in my day just from the 10 minutes of 10 minutes that I do every single morning. So it's been incredible. All right, that's the meditation podcast. I really hope this was somewhat interesting, of value, of not a waste of your time. Once again, the idea of doing these solo pods is for me to push the comfort zone and to talk about things that maybe I've never talked about. And this was something I don't think I've ever really dove into in just a solo pod. So I really hope you guys and gals enjoyed it. I really do. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, one quick favor, take a screenshot of this podcast, post it up on your Instagram story, tag me at Babe. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Once again, screenshot this episode, post it to your Instagram story, tag me at Babe, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. And that will be very helpful for helping to get the word out about this organic podcast that we're growing from the ground up. Like I told Dylan, my roommate, right before I started this up, I said it feels good to be the most slept on podcast in the world because the world doesn't know the Bearded Man's coming. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to It's the Bearded Man podcast. We'll catch you guys and gals soon enough. Have a great rest of your day, your morning, your afternoon, your commute, your walk, your jog, your cook sesh. I don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it. Talk to you guys and gals soon enough. See ya.